Harvey's big move. And now, attention. A riddle. I'm a creature that borrows but never gives back. I try on new homes till I find one that's slack. When I grow too big for my borrowed shell station, I search for a new home. It's quite a sensation. What am I searching for when it's time to move? Maybe a bigger shell that another creature once used, or a pile of soft sand to dig a new home, or a group of other hermit crabs to live with. You will find out the correct answer at the end of the story. Harvey the hermit crab loved his shell. It was a perfect spiral of pearly pink and white, decorated with tiny dots that reminded him of stars. He'd lived in it since he was very young, and it had kept him safe through countless adventures along the coral reef. But lately, Harvey had been feeling a bit uncomfortable. His claws would get stuck when he tried to pull them inside, and his tail was always cramped. Sometimes he even had to curl up extra tight just to fit inside at night. Oh dear, he sighed one morning, trying to squeeze back into his shell after breakfast. I think I'm getting too big for my home. His friend Marina, a wise old sea turtle who had lived in the reef for many years, noticed him struggling. She glided over, her flippers moving gracefully through the crystal-clear water. Harvey, she said gently, I couldn't help but notice you seem a bit uncomfortable. Is everything all right? Harvey felt embarrassed. I love my shell, Marina. It's been my home for so long. But he hesitated, his eyes growing misty. I think I might need a new one. Marina nodded understandingly. You know, Harvey, change is a natural part of life. Even the reef changes with every tide. Why don't we look for a new shell together? Harvey peeked out from his tight shell. But what if I can't find one as pretty as this one? What if the new shell doesn't feel like home? Sometimes the best things in life come from trying something new, Marina replied. Look, here comes Oliver the octopus. He knows every hiding spot in the reef. Maybe he can help us search. Oliver swam over, his 8 arms swaying with the current. Did someone say they need help searching? That's my specialty, he exclaimed, changing from purple to bright orange with excitement. The 3 friends set off on their shell-hunting adventure. They looked behind coral formations, under sea fans, and between colorful anemones. Oliver used his arms to check 8 different spots at once, while Marina swam higher up to get a better view of the seafloor. They found several shells, but none seemed quite right. One was too big, another too small. One had a crack in it, and another was already home to a tiny fish family. Harvey was starting to lose hope when he spotted something gleaming in the distance. As they got closer, his eyes widened. There, partially buried in the sand, was a shell unlike any he'd seen before. It was slightly bigger than his current home, with swirls of turquoise and gold that shimmered in the sunlight filtering through the water. It's beautiful, Harvey whispered. But he glanced back at his old shell. I'm scared to let go. Marina smiled kindly. Would you like to know a secret, Harvey? Everyone feels scared when facing something new. But being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid, it means doing something even though you're afraid. Oliver wrapped one gentle arm around Harvey's claw. And you don't have to do it alone. We're right here with you. Harvey took a deep breath. Okay, he said. I'm ready to try. Very carefully, he began to move from his old shell to the new one. It was a delicate process, and for a moment, he felt very vulnerable without any shell at all. But his friends stayed close, making sure he was safe. When he finally settled into the new shell, something unexpected happened. Instead of feeling strange and uncomfortable, as he'd feared, he felt wonderful. The new shell had plenty of room for his claws and tail. He could move more freely than he had in months. How does it feel? Marina asked. Harvey spun around in a happy circle, watching the sunlight dance off his new home's turquoise spirals. It feels perfect. I can't believe I was so worried about changing shells. This one is even better than my old one. And look, Oliver pointed out, changing to a matching turquoise color. The colors suit you perfectly. As they celebrated Harvey's successful move, a young hermit crab scuttled past, looking worried. Harvey noticed she was having the same problem he'd had. Her shell was clearly too small. "Excuse me," Harvey called out to her. "I have a beautiful pink and white shell that's looking for a new owner. Would you like to try it?" The young crab's eyes lit up. "Really? But aren't you afraid you'll miss it?" Harvey smiled, thinking about how far he'd come. "Of course I'll remember it fondly. It was a wonderful home. But now it's time for someone else to make memories in it. Sometimes letting go of something familiar makes room for something even better." That evening, as Harvey settled into his new shell, he watched the young crab happily exploring her new home, his old shell. Marina and Oliver stayed nearby, and together they watched the sunset paint the reef in beautiful colors. "You know what," Harvey said thoughtfully, "change isn't as scary as I thought it would be. Not when you have good friends to help you through it." Marina nodded wisely. "And now you know that you're braver and stronger than you realized. Sometimes we have to let go of something comfortable to discover something wonderful." From that day on, Harvey never worried about outgrowing his shell again. He knew that change, although sometimes scary, could lead to amazing new adventures. And most importantly, he learned that having friends by your side makes any change easier to face. As he drifted off to sleep in his new home, he realized that while his shell had changed, the most important things had stayed the same: his friendship with Marina and Oliver, his home in the beautiful reef, and his brave heart that had helped him embrace change. The end. And now the correct answer to the riddle. The answer is: hermit crabs don't build their own shells, they search for empty seashells left behind by other sea creatures like snails. As they grow, they need to find bigger and bigger shells to protect their soft bodies. It's like they're always shopping for a new house to wear. Hope you enjoyed it.